2020 ASA Classic in Foley, Alabama was a roller coaster ride of nail-biting, archery competition, and crazy weather. For the most part, heat and thick humidity were the primary conditions affecting the Graham Creek Nature Preserve, which hosted the ASA for the second time this year. Hurricane Laura, which threatened to wash away the tournament just days before it started, swung west of Gulf Shores, and sunshine and blue skies were in ample supply. But hurricane or not, August along the Gulf Coast is always a volatile time. Every day of the Classic, for at least some period, archers were hammered by torrential downpours and wind. Lightning suspended action during some of the rounds, but shooting was never canceled, and everyone had the opportunity to shoot all 40 of their official arrows.
This is always the thing I want the most, Shooter of the Year. I feel like it rewards the most consistent shooter.
You guys?
I honestly didn't even know I had a chance. I really didn't.
Shooter of the Year titles have always meant a lot to me. A culmination of the whole year and just battling it out all year.
Try to take it one shot at a time, but you know you have to try to hit every shot you can take.
That was critical because besides shooting for the prestigious title of ASA Classic Champion, archers in many classes also were battling to the end for Shooter of the Year crowns. That's one of the most coveted titles in all of 3D archery, and it sure looks great on a shooting resume. With just one exception, the Classic saw some intense battles for Shooter of the Year in all the pro classes. The Senior Pro Division was the only one where the outcome was never in doubt. Michael Braden led the Shooter of the Year race from wire to wire this season, and a stellar performance at the Classic locked up his second ever season crown. In Women's Pro, Kaylee Johnston came into the Classic with a commanding lead, but a strong showing by Sharon Wallace led to a third Shooter of the Year title for the first-year PSE Pro. The Known Pro Shooter of the Year race was the tightest of all the pro divisions, with just a few points separating a pack of talented archers at the start of the Classic. After a solid opening round, teenager Brady Hempin took a 2-point lead over defending Shooter of the Year Robert Householder. But on the very last hour of competition, Householder took back the title for another year. The Open Pro battle for Shooter of the Year arguably was the most watched. Levi Morgan, who had a record streak of 12 consecutive Shooter of the Year crowns broken last year by Dan McCarthy, entered the Classic with a solid 10-point lead. Ever the competitor, McCarthy at one point during the tournament had eliminated the gap, and the two were tied. But by the time the last arrow was shot, Morgan did what he needed to stretch out his neck to take his 13th Shooter of the Year title, which he says is the most important prize that he shoots for all year.
Frickin' McCarthy.
The pro pressure point shootdowns in all divisions followed the scripts written during the two qualification rounds.
As long as Sharon keeps in the 10 ring, these girls are going to have to get really aggressive to catch her.
Sharon Wallace was not going to let anyone derail her quest to add Classic Champ to her Shooter of the Year title in Women's Pro.
I've never done the Classic and the Shooter of the Year, so I'm pretty overwhelmed right now.
Yeah, it's good to double dip on contingency checks in a weekend.
Same for Michael Braden in the Senior Pro division.
You know, there's no guarantee in this game. You can put in 80 hours a week and there's no guarantee you're going to get a check. So you do the best you can and give it all you got, and whatever happens, happens.
Strong shot, and
he got it. Levi Morgan did his best to try to erase Dan McCarthy's 8-point lead in Open Pro, but McCarthy is always as cool as can be on the big stage, and he cruised to the tournament title.
Everybody gets nervous out here. I think what tears your mental game down out here is when you think you're the only one on that line that's nervous, and that's a good thing. You know, so you take that energy and you go with it and you just shoot through it.
Only 4 points separated all 5 archers competing in the Known Pro Shootdown, with 2020 Vegas Shoot champ Kyle Douglas sitting alone at the top.
He went right at it.
Douglas hit the bonus rings he needed in the shootdown to take home his first ever ASA tournament win, adding another great chapter to a stellar archery season for the Utah Pro.
I've been shooting ASA for the last couple years and had a couple close calls, but just haven't got it done yet, so I'm glad to finally get one under my belt.
Sunday's final round was interrupted by another violent downpour that included heavy wind and lightning, but again, the storm blew out and archers were able to shoot all their arrows to close out the 2020 season. It's a season many ASA competitors undoubtedly will want to forget, but for others, it was a season in which they overcame obstacles to rise to the top. Thanks for following the season with us at Competition Archery Media, and we look forward to seeing you all in 2021.